the exact funnel and system where Nick generated $56,000 and $1,200 in ad spend. Show rates went from 57% to 79%. Close rates increased from 18% to 27%. Alaya at Lux brought us on, struggling with 20, 30K months, just didn't know really what to do. She hired multiple agencies before and really couldn't do anything about her own business. She had the results, she was expert, and this got her to consistent over $100,000 a month. She ended up making 120K in a single month. And Menevolve came in, he was struggling $10,000, $15,000 a month, eventually got to $80,000 in a single month in 6 months for him. And no, these are not all just typed in. I'm going to show you exactly Alaya right now.
Hi, my name is Alaya. I'm the founder and owner of Lux Social Hub. It is a marketing agency. And before I actually started working with Arabian Marketing, I honestly was struggling as a business owner. So I was making around like 20 to 30K per month, but I could never see any consistency within my business. And I had setters and closers, and even they were struggling with actually being able to close appointments or even getting qualified leads on calls. So I was also using a couple different marketing agencies as well too, where they were actually providing leads. They weren't qualified leads. They were trying to set appointments, but my closers were still unhappy. So when we actually started working with Arabian Marketing, they were able to implement not only systems, but qualified leads for us to actually be able to close. Like our close rates literally increased by 12% and the show rates was by 20%. So this definitely helped increase my company's business as well too. We went from those 20, 30K months to now 120K months and up. So it's pretty insane to actually see how easily they were able to come in where we weren't even having to really do anything hands-on. They kind of came in, it was like a full service, white glove experience where they just implemented their system.
Okay, you get the point, right? And so this is exactly the full system we implemented for her, for Menevolve, and for Nick as well. Okay, and so I love to think about this quote all the time: eliminate, automate, delegate, and procrastinate. Never automate something that can be eliminated, and never delegate something that can be automated or streamlined. Okay, otherwise you just waste somebody else's time instead of your own, and you just waste your own hard-earned money and revenue, right? And so here's some screenshots, testimony of all different. One of our clients, Nick over here, the day he actually made the 56,000 over in revenue, right? This is just a screenshot of one of their sales. This is Alaya's business, okay? And so this is a part of Menevolve's and the future outlook of what he was going to be doing inside WAP, okay? Some payments from WAP, and here's one of their closers. And so if you didn't believe me even more, this is part of Nick's process over here, right? And so here's his ads manager, everything like that. I have another video if you want to go check that out. But yeah, eliminate, automate, delegate, and procrastinate. This is exactly the funnel that I'm going to be going over right now in a couple of seconds, right? But here is why 99% of coaches, consultants, agency owners, and SaaS founders just stay stuck at where they're at right now. So you're probably not a beginner doing 0 to 10K a month. This is where you do cold outreach. You're just broke mindset, and just in general, you're afraid to invest in yourself. Bad offer and positioning, no marketing skills, just bad at sales, and just an imposter, right? And so eventually you grind and grind and grind, and then you get up to the 10 to 20,000 mark, right? What I call a freelancer. Okay, some of you guys might say this is actual business, but no, you barely have any clients. You have 2 to 6, charging like maybe $1,000 or $4,000, right? Organic marketing, just grinding that out, right? You're not doing any paid yet because you're still scared. You're just like you've hired before and it hasn't really worked out. Not really scalable offer, not really scalable systems. You're a glorified coach or business owner. You're still feeling imposter syndrome, right? You just have something that's blocking you from going to the next level, and you don't really know what it is, right? You put in this work every single day, and it gets the same result, right? And so I'm going to tell you exactly how to fix that later on in this video, right? And that's why you're watching, okay? And you upgrade to being a business owner. $20,000 to $50,000 a month. You're charging the same, relatively speaking. You don't really have ascendance mechanisms. You're just getting more clients every single month, and maybe you're like upselling them, but not for much, and you're not really making a lot of sales on that either, right? And client retention is okay. You're being consistent and semi predictable in your client acquisition. You've pretty much nailed organic, right? You're pretty much getting pretty confident in bringing on clients when you can organically, right? And this is starting to hit your ceiling, right? Organically, and you just want to scale even bigger. I want to build something true, right? You get a business owner, right? And you're starting to operate with a team. So you get to manage people, and you got some happy ass clients, right? And so the next step, I would love to call it corporation, right? This is where everyone wants to be, right? 100K months over 10 plus clients. You have a team. You're actually happy. You're not, like just trying so hard every single day to get that next client, and you don't know where they are coming from. You don't know whether or not you're going to lose another client like tomorrow. It's just unpredictable, right? And here you really get to experience the true meaning of accomplish what you've always wanted to accomplish, right? You get the freedom, you get the, 6 figures a month mark. You're just going great, right? You're experienced in your field. You're very confident. You know exactly what to do, when to do it. You have the paid traffic. You're dialed in with your team, with your systems, or, you have a growth partner, someone like us that comes in and does it for you, right? Or you just hired another marketing agency and you're, happy with them as well. Or you just did it all yourself and just hired, 8 players to get you to this mark. You want to hit the next over 100K, month, 150, 200, 300, 400, so on and so forth, right? And so usually around, right here, okay, you're like, okay, cool. Like I'm getting pretty confident in what my capabilities are. And so a lot of people just wrap their head around, scaling to, 20, 50K, right? And so obviously like the benchmark here would be, 100K. All right. It would be over here. Okay. And you can't get to here without, you can't really get to here without becoming this person, right? The business owner. Okay. And so if you're struggling with this, there's no way in fucking hell you're going to get here. Right. And so going here to here, you need to, get the systems. You just start doing things that you otherwise wouldn't be able to do, whether that's bringing on a growth partner, whether that's hiring somebody out that's actually going to give you the results that you're hoping for, or just, learning yourself, developing those skills in order to, make and become that $20,000 to $50,000 business owner that you're trying to be, right? Because you already know you're on here, you're watching this video, and you want to scale, right? You want to scale to this next $20,000 $50,000 month to eventually to building a corporation, something big and worth meaning, right? Because if you're stuck here or even stuck here, like you have, because these can be one, you know what I mean? Like you could charge, $5K, $10,000 per client, but like organically, right? And so it might look a little different for you, at each step of the way, right? Like this freelancer, these can merge together, right? These can kind of merge together. You're not really confident. You're just, you have a couple people making 20 grand a month, but you can't really get past it because you don't have a predictable system in order to get more traffic. And, it can, combine a little bit, right? And so I know a lot of you coaches and agency owners can like get stuck around here, right? Just all the time, and the goal is ultimately here, right? The corporation, the happy clients, you're just happy, right? You're much happier than being, just grinding every day, just doing a lot of the work down here, and no one really wants to do that, right? And so for me, like it's much easier to go into a business that's doing somewhere around here, right? More closer to like the $15,000 a month, probably 20. You kind of need to be over here, but just because you have more money and more revenue to actually grow and scale, because that's directly impacted by how fast you can get results and how fast you can get revenue into your business, right? Flowing and everything like that. So, going forward, this is like usually where I see all of our clients come in is around this mark right here. And so we mostly focus around these business owners, right? Already making $20,000 or more. And you see Elia was doing the same thing. She was at, like on average, like 24 to 26,000, but it ranged, right? It was just up and down, up and down, up and down. She had that floor. She had a pretty good floor, but she also had a really good ceiling, right? She couldn't, get past that. And no matter how many people she hired, it just wasn't working out. You know what I mean? So, when we came in, and she was doing a lot of the work as well. You know what I mean? Like that's another thing too. Like with the people that you guys hire out, like you don't bring them on and they don't take everything over, right? They just provide ads or provide content or provide ads and content, or they don't do the whole 9 yards, right? And that's something we specialize in, and our expertise is doing the entire system, which we're about to go over, the Revian full stack scaling system. Okay, and so this is the exact model and the exact funnel that we took time of building out this out for months. We tested and had a lot of trials with it, and we perfected it, right? We're obviously optimizing it every single day, right? And so if you're making $20,000 a month or more and you want this system implemented and done for you, just go down below, book a call, and we could talk on the phone and see if you're a really good fit for this, right? And we can get you all set up and launched within 7 days, right? It is that quick. But yeah, going forward, this is Exact Systems, coaches, consultants, agencies, and SaaS founder, right? And that you definitely can scale to over $100,000 a month with this, right? If you have a dialed offer and positioning, and you bring on somebody that could do everything you want them to and give you the results, right? And so the main source of revenue is your organic right here, right? And so that's where you're really at right now. Like maybe you've tried a little bit of paid, but you hired it out, didn't work, or you're doing it yourself and it didn't work because it's a skill. And a lot of these ad agencies just provide ads, and you don't know what what they're really feeding you, right? I've talked to people where they hired out ad agencies and, they've been giving leads to them and three other businesses, right? And they have to fight for the leads, or like Elia, um, just getting unqualified people every single day and then having a headache because your setters and closers can't close them, right? And so most of the time it's the lead, not being able to, afford it, right? When they're just not qualified, right? It's half of the time I'd say that. Other half is the sales teams, right? Them being lazy, them being, the skills of not being able to close. You might be in that situation too, right? And so like, if it's your sales team, you just gotta get better salespeople, right? Or train them yourself, right? And so you should and understand your offer better than anybody, and position it that well in your content every single day. So they need to understand and teach them some of the systems I'm about to go over, right? Okay, so you have a VSL, you have some sort of funnel, right? That you're filtering your organic traffic or paid traffic into, right? You need, the dynamic duo is both. Like, if you just do one, it's going to lack because you don't have organic, because no one's going to trust you because it's cold audiences. They just see you for the first time, right? And so if you just have organic, they know, like, and trust you very, very much. Like, they're very warm. And that's why you're getting so many, of your, so much revenue right now, of like, from your socials, right? And so they feed into your funnels. So people DM you, just close them in the DMs, right? Or referrals, your organic reach, right? If you're still outreaching, just delete that. Right? And so they just funnel in, right? And so you might need to hire an editor, right, at some point, just to get the consistency on your content. Consistent nurture, consistent traffic. This is something we have within our organization. We have an editor, so they just take care of it all for you. You don't really need to worry about it, right? And then, obviously in your funnel, you have CTAs, right? And eventually you get a lead funneling through like whatever funnel you have, let's say VSL, right? They watch some sort of video, you have them fill out an application, they book a call, bang, right? You got a lead, okay? And so you're gonna hop on this call, right? Offer your pitch, whatever. You're gonna need closer and setters. A lot of you, already have these, right? And they just suck or they don't, they're dialed, right? And so it is a lot easier to run a warm offer with a closer and a setter than it is to just throw ads out there and then, hope they do the same. That's just unrealistic. It never happens, right? Like with, that was kind of the problem too with Elia, right? And Lux, and like she was running a organic offer, right? And then she started running ads, and that's why they couldn't really close. But it was more so with her situation. It was the leads being, like strictly just insanely unqualified and not even like, um, understanding her offer really, and it was just a whole nother story. Okay, a whole nother story. But anyway, so like, yeah, if you have your prices a little bit differently now, right? It's not just 3 to 5K. It's like, okay, you got something going with you, right? You have a 10K offer, you have a one-on-one, you have ascendance in your offers and in your program now, where you can easily double your revenue if you just ascend one or two of your current clients into like a one-on-one coaching program, or like just a one-on-one offer where you help them directly and you just get paid, retainer plus revenue, right? And depending on if you're like a SaaS founder or like a coach, it's gonna be very, very different between what you guys are offering, right? And so for your closers and setter, you dial in the offer with cold traffic, right? And so this is the exact nurturing system that we have, that we built in for all of our clients, right? I have another video on this on my YouTube. Go check it out. It's way more in depth, but this is the biggest overview that I could possibly give you in the shortest amount of time, because this video is going to be DC long, right? And so you have 4 core pieces inside the strategy, right? And the closer best practices are very important, right? Closer and setter best practices, okay? So you have your organic videos and your organic presence, your IG, your TikTok, your YouTube, your Twitter, whatever, right? Your value dense emails, SMS, and then you got ads, right? And so all this is affected and poured into the nurturing, right? And then you got the setter and closer. Okay, obviously you have a setter that does dials all day with new leads, right? And then you have the closer, right? The closer's got to reach out to the leads as well, right? And so we have a lot of different ways. You'll kind of customize how your closer talks to and positions himself inside your own offer, or it's kind of cool. Like you can be friendly, you can be like more taking frame, or like you can have both, or you could just call these leads, just text them, and then have all the nurturing take care of itself. But I like our closers to build that relationship and gain the trust specifically with a prospect, like like they're gonna be friends, you know what I mean, and like helping them as much as possible prior to the call, because obviously like they're coming on the call to get help from you. You're trying to make revenue, but at the end of the day, like you're only gonna get more paid directly as to how valuable your stuff is, and how much you can possibly help somebody. And if you help somebody that much more prior to the call, they're going to pay you way more money on the call, right? And so with the closers, they want to develop this relationship with them to gain their trust. The lead's got to trust the closer in order for them to trust the organization, right? And so that's another part of it too, right? Like they get a tag team here, okay? Like let's say Aiden is a setter, right? And he calls the lead. And so like this is like one of the most important like jobs is a setter because they're representing your company. Like it's the very first person they talk to in your organization, in your business, right? And so if Aiden talks like he hasn't he didn't go to school in elementary school, right, he's not gonna make a good impression, right? If he if your closer's wearing like street clothes or like something not presentable, or trash in the back, like he's got like a bunch of like old McDonald's or whatever, old food in the back on the table, right? It's not gonna look good, right? The prospect isn't gonna take him seriously, and that a lot of subconscious stuff. Like if he's dressed well, it's a nice background, you know what I mean, on the call and stuff. You should know this, right? And so like the setter, going back to what I was saying about Aiden, right? We have Aiden, okay, and so the setter calls him out. He's like, "Oh yeah, saw your application. Like, I think this is real interesting about your your coaching business. You're doing like like $25,000 a month, and you're doing this, that, and the other. I had some questions for you. I also have a couple of videos I can show you to help you out, prior to our call, right?" And so in order to take frame from the entire thing, right, it's just to be a helping hand right here as a setter, right? Just a helping hand, like giving guidance to this call, right? Just making sure like they understand everything about the call, and they qualify, right? They're a good fit, like, So then the closer's job is really just obviously to close, take that revenue, but to build that relationship, okay? And not really become friends, but like if you want to, you can. It doesn't really matter to me. A lot of people, it's like 50%, like just take frame, build that relationship, and then sell the offer as much as you can, and really dig down, and help them, right? And so I hope that like that all makes sense, because like that with the entire nurturing system right here is gonna make it's the bread and butter here. I'm not gonna lie, like this for Alaya was huge. Like she had a bunch of unqualified leads viewing these things. Like they weren't really looking at any of her, organic videos. They weren't really reading the emails, right? Everyone looks at SMS, right? That's why it's so popular. And we had some retargeting ads, but like if they're not like looking at here and then they like talk to the setters, they're not going to like, the setter was talking to unqualified people. And, 1 out of 10, leads were going to the closer. And even the closer was having a hard time with everybody, right? And so they got to go through this pipeline in order to get to your setter, right? And so once the setter gets them, then the closer gets them, they all got to nurture together. It's just a team. That's why I have it all in one umbrella, one pocket, right? And so this is pretty much the thing. Okay, so we have the change the color here again. Let's go with this lighter blue. So obviously you got the cold lead, right? You got to know, like, and trust you, right? This is the entire process of the nurturing system. Okay, and they got to trust the setter in order to trust the closer. And then the closer's got to become trustworthy with the prospect in order to be closed on the actual call. They trust the organization, right? And so obviously you get in front of all the leads, right? And your emails, your content, your ads, your retargeting ads for people who book calls. SMS isn't really, we don't really give value in SMS. We just use it as call reminders, and just like really to redirect people to do the other actions, right? Like, to view the emails, to view the long form content, right? So, and then the setter and closer's gotta, be there, right? Talk to them. And so usually we like to book people out in 48 hours within, right? Next day or same day. A lot of time it's next day or the second day, more than likely it's going to be that, right? And so, like I said, you've higher prices. It's easier to make more money with high prices, right? And if you're scared to raise prices, just do it. Just do it. Like you're only gonna make more and you're gonna feel better, right? Because especially since you're like, let's go back up to here. Okay, let's go back up to here. And so you're likely, around this area. Okay, and so like let's just say you have 5 clients, right? And you're charging 2 per client. You're 10K, right? So if you have 5 clients, right, and you charge 3K, you're 15, right? And so it's very basic math. Like if you're 8 to 10 clients charging 2 to 4K, right? You're in this ballpark usually, right? And whether or not you don't feel justifiable, like you still have this like imposter syndrome, just raise it 20-30%, right? And then be like, okay, are you getting more yeses on calls or getting the same yeses on calls, the same percentages? Like unless your close rate goes down, you got to look at your sales team. You got to look at yourself. If you're taking the calls, if that's consistent, then it's the price, right? If you're getting a lot more price objections, obviously, then lower it back down. Just figure out like a sending offer on the back end or something like that, or like downsell a lot more. You know what I mean? You can make revenue with every single person that comes on a call. It's just how it is. You know what I mean? So let's go back to here. Yeah, that's pretty much it for raising prices. You know what I mean? Just charge more. Like 10K offer, make it like $10,000 for like, maybe, I mean, I know people are doing $10,000 a month, but like, you got to be, real deal. You got to be in that corporation section. You know what I mean? But, typically you're going to be charging like 4 to 5, maybe 6K for like a 90-day something or 4 month something. And then you just got to provide it as quickly as possible, which is, the easy part for you because you got the expertise, right? You have all these testimonials. You're charging what you should charge, right? And so this price point is ideal, right? And so everyone's happy. You're making more money. You're scaling easier, and you're implementing systems, right, that you otherwise couldn't do with the people who you brought on, right? And so you have the closing center there, right? And then you have a client. Nice job. You close somebody, right? So onboarding, you're going to need a CSM, or you can just fully take this over if you brought on somebody like us that literally does this entire system for you. But anyway, you got a CSM, right? Just scalable client success. Like you're gonna be up here, your 8 to 10 clients, right? If you like get anxious about managing 10 people, you're gonna want a CSM. Or if you get anxious about like 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 clients, like yeah, you're gonna need to hire some people. You know what I mean? Just on the back end, it's just gonna take your make your life so much easier. Like hire a success story, like one of your greatest testimonials, and they want to be a coach. Like give them, I don't know, like 5K a month, like one of your prices. Like if you one client can pay for him, right? That like or more, like however you want to charge, you do how you do it. But that's what I see sometimes with people with CSMs, like coaches and consultants. Some agency owners have it's more like a media buyer, obviously, like, but usually like those media buyers aren't great. You got to train them a lot. But yeah, anyway, so you got onboarding, you got the CSM, client success, right? This is where the testimonials and fulfillment come, in hand, right? You need to do it, right? And so you need an upsell mechanism, okay? Or you need a downsell mechanism, right? So you can directly implement this piece all the way up here, right, into the call, right? You could have like this, like you have a DS, right, downsell, or you can have a upsell, right? And on the call, you're like, okay, like you're in the discovery phase, you're figuring out how much they're making. Okay, like this offer is for like, you need to be making, $10,000 to $15,000 for me to realistically charge what I charge, right? Like, and so your offer price is $4,000, right? If somebody's making 15K, they're like, that's pretty easily doable, especially, if you're in like the make money space, right? You're helping them make more money, or, you know what I mean? So, you can upsell them to like a one-on-one thing. It can be like, if you charge 3K, it could be like 5K a month plus like, 10% rev share. And then you just work directly one-on-one like a growth partner would, right? Because you have all the expertise and doing what you're doing, and you have all these results and everything like that. So you can really do that, right? And that's how you make $2,000 plus revenue on the back end, right? Or you can just increase revenue, right? You can just be like, okay, cool, man. Like, it seems like you're doing pretty well on the front end. Like, this doesn't have to be pitched as upsell. No, like, oh, I'm gonna do this instead for you. No. So like you charge 3K normally, but like they only have $2,000 and they make 5K a month. Like, okay, give them the downsell to like this course, right? That's like $997, some generic ass price, right? And so you make $1,000 from them, and you don't really lose anything, right? And then so when they go through the course, if they ever do, you can be like, I bet now they can get coaching, right? And then when they get coaching, you can ascend them to working one-on-one with them, like a business growth partner, right? And so that's how you can kind of send people. Like you can do like liquidate some ad spend. You could sell like a PDF, a book, just like videos, a training, a mastermind, right? And so like we have it over here. You get to your section. If you send people, get testimonials from every single person, right? That only grows your brand and grows your trust even more. And so they just look nice, right? You just have case studies, right? On case studies. Yeah, so offer, course, coaching, growth partner, masterminds, book, trainings, really, really anything. Like I said, you can literally downsell anybody and upsell anybody to anything, as long as you're pretty good at sales, right? So that has to be in mind. So it's that much easier to increase your LTV. If you increase your LTV, you increase your overall revenue, which makes scaling a whole lot easier, right? And so like when you're thinking about this and how you can really like go about it, down like upselling, really, I would start with upselling people on, in your offers, right? And if it's ethical and justifiable for you to tell your closers or yourself to be like, okay, cool, if they're making this much money, I want you to pitch this offer instead. Okay. And so obviously if they don't have that much money, like more times than not, they're not even going to be hopping on your call if you have, the workflows, like implemented correctly, right? If you have like, pixel conditioning, or if you have like certain questions on the application to lead them somewhere else, like you could just have the course be a downsell page. Like you don't even have to have your closers be pitching the course. You know what I mean? Like, there's like levels to it, right? As corny as that sounds, but yeah, like for paid ads, this is where you like it all makes this entire thing go nuts, right? It's very fun. Once you get proof of concept, man, it's something. That's why we get these results, right? And so like all you guys have these, you're consistently getting this floor and ceiling, right? And so you're like, let's just like you have a ceiling here, and this is where you always get like for let's just go Men Evolved. Like his biggest month was like 17K, right? And so his ceiling was 15 though, like consistent hitting his ceiling, and his floor was probably like 8 to 10. So let's just go down here, right? 8 to 10. This was green. So let's just say this was 15 here, right? And so like, bah, okay. But yeah, like, so you're just like constantly just bouncing off of here and going down here, or like constantly bouncing off of here. Maybe you hit it again, but then you go down here the next month. You know what I mean? So like that's a poor drawing, but like you're like something like this. You know what I mean? Or like, and then you go down and then you go back up, and it's just not like just like a steady just increase, right? Maybe you go down once and you go all the way up, and then you go increase. You know what I mean? So something like that you guys are you're going through right now, right? And so with ads, right, we have a lot of people that come on and they're doing whatever. Let's just for Frank, let's just explain exactly what Frank did, right? And so he came to us, right? He was going through that exact same thing I just explained, and he was posting every single day. He was hiring these people out, and it was crazy, right? And he was a fitness coach, a high performance fitness coach. He had a 5K offer, right? And he was debating changing his prices. He changed it, and he wasn't being able to close. And we told him, okay, that's a sales issue, obviously. And so obviously he hired the right people, then brought us on. After our audit, we told him that, and then honestly, he waited some time for it to be more consistent inside this range. Because like his sales were just not great, and so he found the good salespeople. He coached them, brought them on, hired, and then we gave him we just audited again, as we always do with the new clients that we get. We gave him a higher ticket offer, right? So he charges for 5K, right? So let's just label it out. So he had 5K offer. This was like just one-on-one coaching, not group coaching yet. He just had a few clients, so it didn't really make any sense. So that's another thing too. Like group coaching is much more scalable. Like it's like obviously it's not one-to-one. So then we brought him on, and then he got to the level of like within 2 months he got to like 30K, right? And he was like, oh guys, like chill out a little bit. Not really, but he was like, yeah, like we're getting I need to hire some people out, and so he hired a CSM. And when he got a CSM, we were able to increase ad spend a little bit more, and then he got to like 40K. Right. And so he was like, margins aren't great. I just want to do something else. Right. And so and then we were like, okay, how about we do something like this? Right. So we have your 5K offer. That's your one-on-one coaching. But we have something on the back end where you can ascend people and charge 10K for 90 days instead of 5K for 90 days. Right. And so because it's fitness. Right. And what we gave is everything for its one-on-one. This turned into a group coaching offer instead with one to many. I'm just going to put an M. That's many. Okay. One to many. And then we exceeded a lot. So we had, we increased the price. We increased, it's one-to-one. You get his number. You get able to talk to him meetings within reason, like once a week or something. And then it's like we'd masterminds, right? And so all the people in here got one mastermind included in that one. We did a quarterly mastermind, right? And so that this 10K thing came with one mastermind, right? Access. And so you had to buy it again to be able to come to the mastermind, right? And so for these people though, up here is 5K offer. We had it didn't come with it obviously, and so we were upselling them like a ticket. It was like I can't remember. It was like and it was only sold to these people, right? Only to these people, right? It was a very like inner circle type of thing, where we weren't outsourced or selling to the masses, right? We weren't running ads for this. We were only selling to these people because he had like by this time he had like 40 clients, right? He had a decent amount of people on the back end that he was originally selling, right? Because before he brought us on and increased prices, he was charging like $2,000 a month. He had like like 9 to 10 of those people, like they were still, in the program at the time. So we had some numbers. It was like 30 or 40 different clients. So like, we just wanted like 8 to 10 people to come to, like a city, right? I'm not going to get into details around that, but like, we charged something like another 5K for a ticket or something like that, And so like that, you could do the math, like 5 people at 5K, that's $25,000, right? A quarter extra in a quarter, right? That, you're already upselling them, right? LTV is increasing by the tickets. It makes your this offer insanely better than this. So like people are like, oh, like cool, like, oh, I get to like one-on-one now, like I get to go to a mastermind and meet you, like I get to meet everybody in the community, right? And so like when you add things like that, right, and you have these qualified leads coming on your calls, Nick being at stuck between 15 and 17K, and just implementing like and charging 5K for 3 months every single person, or like implementing a 10K offer for 3 months, like you get two of these people, all of a sudden you're at 37K. You get two more, you know what I mean, you're at 57. We got to 80K in 6 months, right? And so here's just a couple of the screenshots, right? And here's like the projection we were at. We ended up just coming short, right? And so like it really does make sense, okay? And if you want something built in this done for you, and you're liking what you're hearing, you understand this funnel, you make money, you know what you're doing, your expertise is great in your niche. You're obviously a coach, consultant, agency owner, or a SaaS founder just ready to dial in some paid traffic. You need and a system, right? Go down below. We'll talk in a call. I'll give you the audit, right? And so there's two paths here in order for you to get to 100K a month or more, right? And you've seen some testimonials around here. You've seen Elia talk. There's one path, right? Short term, you're happy, you're getting this value from this video. You're like, oh, like sick, like I can go do this myself, right? I'm going to learn ads. I'm going to learn how to, make a funnel or like optimize, cold traffic, and direct response marketing. And you're going to have, good time in the short term, right? You'd be like, oh, like sick. Like I set up my funnels, I set up my nurturing system, my emails, my ads, my SMS, the whole 9 yards, right? You're like, oh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to manage my clients. I'm going to, hire more setters, more closers, more a sales team, a CSM or two more, and, update Stripe. I'm going to charge 10K now for one-on-ones because I'm worth that. Okay, cool. Go ahead and do it. I actually want you to do. I have more videos just like this. You're going to have a good time, right? And so the long term, it turns out it's going to take a lot more time than you originally thought out, right? And so this usually happens, right, with people, right? Now, our offer is not that old, so we haven't had people come back to us yet and say that. But sure enough, we get people on calls all the time that say, oh, why can't I just do this myself? I'm already making $60,000 a year, or a month, excuse me. 60K a year is not, you're not qualified if you do that. You should just be, if you go back up here, you should just be trying to, outreach to cold people. That's not what we do over here though. But yeah, short term, obviously, yeah, we charge, right? And we don't charge little, okay? We do this is done for you. This entire system is going to be implemented. We do nurturing, we do editing, scripting, ads management, optimization, automations. We help you with your sales team. We have SOPs, in-depth SOPs. We manage the whole 9 yards. When somebody sees you to somebody getting on your sales call, right? All you have to do is, record content like you're already doing and really just take sales calls and close people, right? And so if you want to do that, like I said, just go down below, book a call. I'll give you a full audit, right? And I want to end this off here, okay? Eliminate, automate, and delegate and procrastinate. Never automate something that can be eliminated, and never delegate something that can be automated or really streamlined, okay? Otherwise, you waste someone else's time instead of your own, which now you waste your own hard-earned money. We started this because a lot of you guys hire the wrong people, right? I'm not saying we're the right people for you. That's what the audit is for. You just hire because you need it done and you need it to be taken care of because you can't, right? And you have no time to learn the skills. If you have time to do it, then do it. Like there's no point. Like you have higher margins, right? Like I said, we charge and we charge rev share too. Like it's done for you. We've done a good job with these people, right? As you can see, and we're looking to scale more, right, and help people, a lot more people, right, with this. And we did this because like you bring somebody on and you still do a lot of the work, right? Like a lot of and also Nick, like he was doing all the work. He was managing all the clients. He was managing his sales team. He was making the content, editing. He had an editor. He had, people doing his automations, another team doing his ads and ads management when he had to tell the ads guys what his copywriters were doing in order for them to, saying he had to, tell his ad guys what the sales team was saying. Like, it's just all over the place, right? And so we came on. It was, he got rid of everybody. We didn't tell him to do that, but he got rid of everybody because he was kind of sick of it, right? And that's exactly why I built Revian. And so we take care of the whole 9 yards, right? We take care of everything. You really do get to sit back and take sales calls, and record content. That's really it. We script, we build the funnels, we do everything, right? And so this is the last time. If you want to book a call, just go down below. Give us an audit, right? Just come prepared and walk off that call getting as much value as possible. And if you want it done for you, that's really the upside here, is taking your entire business and handing it to us and taking sales calls and working your organic and taking, making content, right? So if you like this video, just go down below, drop a like, and I'll talk soon.